Hi, my name's Harry Dewulf. It's 10 PM on a Friday, that's a green screen, and this is Answer Later. I'm answering questions on my Ask to Answer feed here on Quora. If you want to ask me a question, and for me to answer it right here, head over to Quora and just ask for my answer. I'll answer questions posted on English Quora or on French Quora. Tonight I am drinking a piquant bière. That's a beer with a sort of a weird mixer made from bitter oranges, which is apparently something that we drink here in northeastern France. Now, I've had a little bit of a look at my Ask stream, and there are a few things in here that I feel like I can't answer. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pick straight off the first one that I think I can, which is actually the one at the top of the list, and it says, "My voice is quiet and always trembles when I speak. How can I change this?" Well, the voice work that I've done, which is for public speaking and for actors, it all focuses around the importance of breathing. Breathing is absolutely essential, and in fact I discover that breathing is among the most important factors when you are learning even just to speak a foreign language, learning to pronounce the words that you want to learn, but even also breathing is tremendously important when it comes to articulating your thoughts, particularly like I'm doing right now, live without a script. So, the first piece of advice I would give you is learn to breathe. And by far the best way to learn to breathe is to take singing lessons. So, my top tip for changing any difficulties or problems that you have with speech is take singing lessons. Second question I'm going to skip because I don't think I can give any valuable insights in it. The third one says here, what do you think an average day was like for a cave woman with a toddler? The biggest difference between the way in which young children are raised today and the way in which young children have been raised throughout most of history. That's a dramatic mouthful of beer there. The biggest difference is that today, most people seem to think it's normal for one parent to look after one child. And so today, when most people imagine what is called a cave woman, well, in this case, I mean, maybe this is some sort of prehistoric human, maybe not a pre-human, probably an early human, let's say somewhere between somewhere a long time after Australopithecus. We may be talking about a Homo ergaster, or even an early Homo sapiens. And the difference is that they would not have been alone to raise their child. Children would have been raised in a community. I mean, I don't doubt that they knew who their parents were, that all the parents knew who their own children were, and I'm sure they spent a great deal of time favouring their own children. But it was possible for early humans, to look after their children effectively because there were plenty of them looking out for their children. Now, I don't really know enough, neither about early humans or the history of early humans to be able to give you a decent idea of what a whole day was like. But I can tell you that again, I'm going to carry on saying cave woman, even though I'm thinking early Homo sapiens, that a cave woman would not have felt that she was looking after her child alone, that she would have been helped out by members of her extended family, by members of her tribe, by members of her village, so it would no child would ever have felt like it was being raised alone, but also no child would ever felt like it was constantly being watched and looked after and protected. The thing about we human beings is that when we are small, we are very, very vulnerable. And so in order for early humans to be successful, and in this case I'm measuring their success on their ability to have had descendants who've lasted right the way down to me, or indeed you, so they were successful, and that means that they were able to protect their small children. And to do this, they will have done it cooperatively. They will have all looked out for each other's children and for all of the children. So that's the difference. I'm gonna motor straight on to the next one. I've got a little time limit here. I've got a timer running. So I'm going to go straight on to the next one. This is, okay. Can whistling be done in different languages? Or is all whistling the same? Can you whistle with an accent? What an extraordinary question. Can you whistle with an accent? Well, there's more than one way of producing a whistling sound with your mouth. I can only do one of them, which is to make a little round, a round shape with the lips and blow, by putting my lips together and blowing is the only one that I can actually do. But I can do it quite well. I can whistle, for instance, Mozart's Horn Concerto. Is it in E flat? And I can whistle it quite fast. I'm not going to waste your time with a demonstration of that right now, not unless there is clamour for it. But, okay. But can you whistle in an accent? I think that you can probably whistle in a way that is culturally recognisable. Now, what do I mean by this? An awful lot of whistling is either whistling a well-known and easily recognised tune, or just kind of whistling to yourself something that you like the sound of. Whether it is the refrain from a particular song or even just a few notes from a particular song. But one of the things that I notice when I listen to other people whistling is that, yep, beer makes you burp. One of the things that I notice is that the mistakes that people make when they are whistling a tune that they know are influenced by the music that they listen to. And so for instance, the scales that are dominant in your culture are likely to be the scales that will influence the way that you whistle. I'm looking for a harmonica here. So, by chance on my desk, I have several D harmonicas, and this is a harmonica which is it's in this key of D, but it is a harmonic minor. Have a listen to this. This is in D major, and just for contrast, this is what a major, this is the harmonies of a major harmonica. So, although the dominant note is the same, the two different sounds have very different character to them. And I think that if you come from a culture where one or other of those scales dominates, then that influences the way in which you hear music and the way in which you reproduce it when you are whistling. So I suspect that you may, with the right kinds of tunes, be able to tell if someone comes from a culture which is dominated, for instance, by major keys or by minor keys. So most British music is dominated by major keys, whether it's dominated by a particular kind of minor key. So a lot of Gaelic and Breton music is dominated by the natural minor. A lot of Eastern European, Spanish, Gypsy music is dominated by the harmonic minor. And because I haven't prepared for this, I don't have a harmonica in a harmonic minor on my desk. I've only got these two in the major key and the natural minor. But I think that the mistakes that you hear people make actually come from the musical keys that they are accustomed to hearing. On the other hand, I don't think you can whistle in an accent per se. I don't think that your whistle can be accented, but I do suspect also that the different ways of producing a whistling sound, that particular ways probably dominate in particular regions of the world. So, not an accent, but yes, definitely a difference. So I've just gone over 10 minutes, so I'm going to have to slice that up anyway, but let's just have a look at one more. So one more. It's right in the middle of the screen. It's right in the middle of the screen. What is your opinion on using the word je or ze instead of they as a gender-neutral pronoun? Now, my general attitude to gender pronouns is a very simple one. I will use the gender pronoun that you ask me to use. That's my opinion. So if someone says to me, I don't want you to refer to me as they, I want you to say ze, then that's what I will try to do. And in particular, I will do that in your absence as well as in your presence. And the reason for that is very simple. We use gender pronouns as a kind of a convenient way to refer to people. And in order to not wear their name out, as I like to call it, when you're writing fiction and you have to refer to a character over and over again, it starts to get very wearing for the reader if you just keep saying the character's name all the time. And so you have to be able to refer to them, and you will usually do that via he and she. In the same way as when you were talking about somebody in their absence, that for convenience, you will refer to them as he or she. But if that person has asked me to use a different pronoun, then even in their absence I will use it, because the chances are the person I'm talking to will also use their preferred pronoun with them. So it's going to be weird to switch pronouns when they're not there. But as to having an opinion on using it, the thing is about the complexities of gender at the moment is that overall culture is shifting from a highly dominant idea of gender being strictly polar towards an idea of gender being something that individuals discover for themselves. And that's a big change. And dealing with, and it's far from over. I don't know where it's going to end up. I'm just saying that where we are at the moment is that we are attempting to incorporate this idea that individuals decide their gender for themselves. I don't know where this is going to end. I can't even tell you where it's heading. But what I can tell you is it's a big difference. And that in order to cope with that change, one of the things that we are doing is trying out different pronouns for those people who are especially uncomfortable with a polar gender being imposed upon them or being assumed that they have one. So where was I? Rambling on a little bit. So where was I? Yes. I was drinking some more Picon bière. So you can't express a preference for one pronoun over another. You're going to have the habit of using he, she, or they. That habit exists. In fact, I quite often use they when I am referring to an imaginary writer. When I'm trying to teach people writing and I say to them, a writer does this, a writer does that, then I'll use they because, okay, so I'm going to just kind of come in close and whisper this to you, okay? A little bit of a secret here. Most of the best writers are women. But it feels political if I refer to an imaginary writer and then I always say she. I feel like I'm getting political. Whereas I feel like I'm being untruthful if I'm talking about an imaginary writer and I always say he. There are plenty of men who are really good writers, but my personal experience is that the women are generally better at it. Let's qualify that a little bit. Take any two people at random. Give them 10 to 15 years practicing an artistic discipline like writing fiction, and by the end they'll both be pretty much equally good. So whoever started off less good will very likely catch up the person who started off better. Unless the initial difference between them was really gigantic. So what I'm effectively saying here is proper liberal gender politics, in that I'm actually saying that everyone has equal potential when it comes to writing, but actually every day that you live, your potential for anything you want to learn changes. So whatever you experience on any given day is either going to positively or negatively, even by a tiny, tiny amount, influence how good you're eventually going to be able to become at the things that you want to learn. So yes, there is difference. Yes, people are unequal. But when people are starting out, when they've never tried to get better at writing, or at least they think they haven't, and in particular, no, when people are starting out, no, when people come to me. When people come to me for help, the women are generally better. I'm sorry, guys, but try harder. It's after 10 PM on a Friday. I'm Harry Dewulf. That's been a green screen, and this has been Answer Later, and my answers do not constitute legal advice. Good night.